Look at your life with cold eyes for a moment. Count how many things you have said yes to in the last few years. Work, favors, ventures, habits, promises, dreams. Now ask a harder question. Which of those have you pursued with such single-minded intensity that they had no choice but to move? You already know the answer. Your energy has been scattered. Your time divided. Your attention pulled in every direction at once. You call it being busy, ambitious, open to everything. I will call it what it truly is. Indecision dressed up as effort. When a man commits to everything, he is truly committed to nothing. His life becomes a trail of half-built bridges that never reach the other side. You cannot cheat the law of success. The universe does not reward vague enthusiasm. It responds to definiteness of purpose. Your mind is not a bottomless well. It is more like a river. Given a clear channel, it can carve stone, turn wheels, generate power, but spread it thin across a swamp, and it loses force, sinking silently into the mud. Every time you say yes without calculation, you widen the swamp and narrow the channel. You dilute your own power. You are not failing because you lack talent, opportunity, or desire. You are failing because you have refused to concentrate. You may pride yourself on being a man of many interests. You dabble here. Experiment there. Launch this. Promise that. You like the feeling of starting. It makes you feel alive, hopeful, important. But understand this. Beginnings are cheap. Anyone can begin. The world does not reward beginners. It rewards finishers. And finishing demands more than excitement. It demands elimination. To advance one thing, you must neglect another. To move one plan to completion, you must allow other plans to die. That is the cost you have not been willing to pay. So you spread yourself thin enough that nothing demands sacrifice. And because nothing demands sacrifice, nothing gains power. Look at the pattern honestly. You decide you will master a skill. Halfway through the first season of struggle, you sign yourself up for another pursuit and split your efforts. You promise discipline in your work, then accept every distraction disguised as an opportunity. You vow to rebuild your character, then agree to spend your hours as if your old habits still ruled you. You stand on 10 boats at once and wonder why you feel unsteady. You have mistaken motion for direction, talking for deciding, interest for commitment. Success does not make that mistake. It goes where it is pointed. Your subconscious mind, the silent machinery that takes its cues from your dominant thoughts, is confused. One day you tell it, "This is my great aim." The next day you abandon that aim for another. The day after you add 5 more. You issue 1,000 conflicting orders and then complain that nothing in your life marches. A general who shouts instructions in every direction at once does not command an army. He creates chaos. You have been that general to your own mind. It is time to accept that confusion as your own doing. You have been taught to believe that saying yes to everything makes you generous, open, adaptable. Examine the results. How many people have suffered from your scattered promises? How many times have you said, "I will be there," and arrived late, distracted, or not at all? How many projects are piled around your feet, abandoned just after the hard part began? How many times have you said, "I am committed," when in truth you were only curious until difficulty arrived? This is not generosity. It is dishonesty disguised as kindness. It is easier to say yes quickly than to say no with courage. You have chosen ease over integrity. You must come to see that a promise is a form of spiritual currency. Every yes you speak spends a portion of your future time, attention, and energy. That is a serious expenditure. Yet you have been spending as though you carried an endless supply. You forget that each day brings only a fixed number of hours, a fixed amount of nervous force, a fixed capacity to think clearly and act decisively. When you allocate those to 10 goals, 10 obligations, 10 directions, you have already chosen weakness. You cannot give each of them your full weight. You will sprinkle yourself in dust instead of striking in stone. There is a reason so many men live tired but unfulfilled. They wake early. They hurry. They talk. They meet. They sign. They agree. They promise. They rush. And at night they collapse, feeling as though they have given everything and gained nothing. That is what happens when you work without a single dominant direction. The day becomes a battlefield without a strategy. You fight each small skirmish you see, wasting strength on fronts that do not matter, while the true objective remains untouched. At the end of the battle, you are wounded and exhausted. Yet nothing essential has changed. You must understand the ruthless impartiality of the law of concentration. It does not care about your excuses, your emotions, your intentions. It observes only where you direct your sustained attention and effort. That is what grows. If you divide that attention and effort into too many portions, none receive enough to thrive. You can plant as many seeds as you like, but if you scatter your water so thin that each root receives only a few drops, you will harvest only stunted plants. Your life as it stands is a field of stunted plants. Ask yourself why you cling to this pattern of overcommitment. The answer is not flattering. Part of you fears choosing one great aim because you fear the responsibility that comes with it. As long as you are trying to do everything, you never have to face the question, what would happen if I gave all of myself to one worthy direction? That question is dangerous. It threatens your comfort. It might demand you abandon distractions that make you feel safe. It might reveal how much time you have already wasted. So you protect yourself by staying diluted. Another part of you is enslaved to the desire to be admired. You want to be seen as capable of many things. So you declare many intentions. You talk about your plans often. You attach your name to every opportunity. You spread the rumor of your future greatness in every room. But understand this, the more you speak of what you will do, the less urgency you feel to actually do it. Words of intention, repeated without action, become a narcotic. They give you the feeling of progress while you stand still. Success is deaf to such talk. It comes only to those whose daily habits speak louder than their declarations. You must confront the fear of missing out that drives you to hoard options. You act as though life were a banquet from which you must taste every dish or be cheated. You sign yourself up for this and that, terrified that if you do not, you will be left behind. But in trying to taste everything, you digest nothing. You end up malnourished in the midst of abundance. The man who chooses one main course and eats it fully will grow stronger than the man who spends the evening nibbling from every plate within reach. Your mind was designed to serve a master, not a mob. Right now, it serves a mob of half-formed wishes and nervous obligations. They shout over one another, each demanding a piece of you. No wonder you feel torn. No wonder your will feels weak. No wonder you cannot hear the quiet voice of your deepest purpose. That voice refuses to compete in the crowd. It waits for you to clear the room. Until you drive out the lesser commitments, the greatest one cannot take its rightful seat. You might argue, but I have many responsibilities. I cannot simply abandon them to chase one dream. No one is asking you to act like a child. There are duties you must fulfill toward your family, your work, your own body and mind. But even within those duties, you must choose a central direction. You can perform necessary tasks and still know which overarching aim they ultimately support. You can turn ordinary obligations into training for your greater purpose. Or you can scatter yourself across them mindlessly, treating each as an isolated demand, never seeing how they could form a ladder instead of a cage. The choice is yours. You hide behind the excuse of talent. You say, I am capable of many things. It would be a waste to choose just one. That sounds noble, but a man of many talents is in greater danger of scattering his life than a man of few. One clear stream can move a mill. 100 shallow puddles cannot. Your capacity is not honored by dividing it until it becomes invisible. It is honored by focusing it until it becomes irresistible. The world remembers not the man who could do many things. It remembers the man who actually did something to its full measure. Understand this. Every yes is also a no, whether you admit it or not. When you agree to one more obligation, you subtract from the time and force available to all others. When you say yes to a trivial demand, you say no to an hour of concentrated work on what could change your life. When you say yes to the comfort of being involved in everything, you say no to the discomfort of pursuing one aim until it bears fruit. Your life is already filled with invisible no's you never consciously chose. That is why you feel out of control. To regain control, you must reverse the pattern. Become slow to say yes, quick to say no to what does not clearly serve your central purpose. Treat each new commitment like a weight added to a ship. Before you take it on board, ask, does this cargo take me closer to my destination? Or does it simply make me look impressive while dragging me under? Most of what you would like to accept will not pass that test. Let it go. Your ship is already heavy enough. You may fear that such selectiveness will make your life smaller. In truth, it will make it deeper. Shallow water spreads wide. Deep water appears narrow, but can carry great ships. Your life has been wide and shallow. You have dipped your toes in many streams. Now you must choose one river to navigate with all your strength. Depth requires the courage to say, I will not chase that. I will not join that. I will not pretend to care about that, because I have chosen a different course. This is the courage you have lacked, the courage to disappoint others rather than betray your purpose. Consider what your days would look like if you truly committed to one great aim instead of many small ones. You would wake with a clear sense of what matters most. You would examine your tasks and ask, which of these directly supports my purpose? Those would receive your best hours. The rest would be given only the time necessary, or cut altogether. You would teach others by your behavior to respect your focus. You would stop boasting about how busy you are. You would begin evaluating yourself by how much real progress you made in the one direction that counts. Your mind would grow sharper because it would no longer be pulled apart. Inside you, a part of your spirit hears this and stirs. It has been buried under years of scattered living, but it is not dead. It is the part that has always wanted to know, what could I become if I stopped dividing myself? You have felt it when you were fully absorbed in a single task, when hours passed unnoticed because all of you was engaged. In those moments, you glimpsed the power of focus, but you have not trusted that state enough to build your life around it. You treat it as an accident instead of an aim. That must change. You must become ruthless in protecting the conditions that allow you to concentrate. That will require new habits, simpler routines, fewer distractions, fewer pointless conversations, less time spent explaining yourself, more time spent working quietly. It will also require new standards for the people you permit close access to your mind. If they constantly pull you into their urgencies, their dramas, their unfocused schemes, they are enemies of your purpose, no matter how much they claim to care for you. You do not need to hate them. You simply need to limit their influence. There is a law at work that you can no longer ignore. Scattered desire produces scattered results. Focused desire combined with disciplined action produces compounding results. Your life so far has been a living demonstration of the first half of that law. You have wanted many things weakly. Therefore, you have moved many things slightly. You have not yet experienced what happens when you want one thing so strongly and for so long that everything else is arranged around it. When you do, you will not wish to return to your old way of living. The truth is simple and severe. If you commit to everything, you are truly committed to nothing. Until you accept that, you will keep wondering why your effort yields so little, why your days dissolve into fatigue without fulfillment, why your potential remains a theory instead of a fact. Your first act of real commitment is not to add another promise. It is to begin subtracting. You must say with firmness, this aim stays. That aim goes. This obligation remains. That one is released. In doing so, you will feel fear. You will feel as though you are shrinking your life. Endure that feeling. On the other side of it lies a freedom you have never known. The freedom of being one man, going in one direction with one heart. If you are willing to face the truth, you will see that your life so far has been a long negotiation with indecision. You lean toward one path, then lean away. You announce a goal, then quietly replace it with a newer, shinier one. You promise yourself you will finally pour everything into one direction when the time is right. But when that time arrives, you discover another reason to delay. This is not bad luck. It is a habit of mind. And like any habit, it can be broken. But only if you understand what true commitment is and what it is not. Commitment is not a burst of enthusiasm. It is not the thrill you feel when you first imagine a new future. It is not the words you use to impress others with your intentions. Commitment is a binding decision in your own mind that survives boredom, fatigue, criticism, and the arrival of new temptations. It is a line drawn in the soul. This is what I will advance. Even when no one is watching, even when it is inconvenient, even when something else looks easier. Until you have drawn that line, you are merely visiting your goals, not living in them. You must come to grips with the central truth of all achievement. You cannot be powerful where you are not specific. A man who says, I want to be successful, has said nothing at all. Successful at what? In what field? By what standard? Serving whom? By when? The vague wish touches the air and disappears. A man who says, I will master this craft, I will build this enterprise, I will develop this virtue, I will serve in this particular way, has taken a step toward reality. The clearer you are about the one thing you are building, the easier it becomes to say no to what does not serve it. You resist this specificity because it feels like death to every other possibility. And in a sense it is. When you declare, this is my definite purpose, you are executing a sentence on countless lesser aims. You are saying, I choose this mountain, which means I will never climb the others. That feels like loss. You have grown used to the comfort of imagining yourself as potentially great at many things. You enjoy the dream of 10 possible lives. But there is a harsh law at work. You cannot live 10 lives. You can only live one. All the other imagined versions of you must die so that one real version can be born. You must decide which pain you prefer. The slow, gnawing pain of never bringing anything to full power, or the sharp, clean pain of letting go of lesser aims to give yourself wholly to a greater one. The first pain lasts a lifetime and ends in regret. The second pain lasts a season and ends in strength. Up to now, you have chosen the first because it allows you to postpone the moment of choice. You tell yourself, I am keeping doors open. In truth, you are standing in the hallway, growing older, watching the doors close themselves. Begin the work of narrowing. Take inventory. List the projects, ambitions, and obligations that currently demand your time and force. Be ruthlessly honest. Include the secret schemes you nurture in your mind but have never truly pursued because they still consume attention. Then, for each item, ask 2 questions. First, does this truly matter to the man I want to become? Second, am I willing to suffer for this until it is complete? If the answer to either question is no, you have no business calling it a commitment. It is a distraction dressed as potential. You may discover that if you are honest, very few things pass this test. Good. That is clarity arriving. Do not fear the emptiness that follows. The mind accustomed to clutter feels uncomfortable when the table is cleared. Resist the urge to rush out and pile it again. Sit with a clean space. Let your deepest purpose rise in it. What remains after you subtract the inessential is not too little. It is the beginning of a life you can finally pour yourself into. True commitment always begins with subtraction. Before you can say a thunderous yes, you must learn to say a firm no. This will feel strange at first. You have trained those around you to expect your constant availability. You have trained yourself to equate refusal with selfishness or cowardice. Now you must train yourself to see refusal as loyalty to your purpose, to your finite time, and to the people who depend on you fulfilling your true work. Every no you speak to what is trivial is a yes you are saving for what is essential. You must also reshape your daily life to reflect your chosen focus. A man cannot claim to be devoted to a great aim and then give it only the leftover scraps of his day. Look at how you currently spend your best hours, when your mind is sharpest and your strength is highest. Are they given to your central purpose or to other people's urgencies, idle diversions, and random demands? If you are serious, your best hours must belong to your highest aim. You may have duties that fix certain parts of your schedule, but within the space that remains, you have more control than you pretend. Design your day with intention. Choose a block of uninterrupted time, even if it is small at first, and make it sacred to your main work. Guard it as a king guards his treasury. During that time, no new commitments, no casual conversations, no wandering tasks are allowed. Only the work that advances your chosen aim may enter. At first, you will feel restless. Your old habits will itch. You will want to jump from task to task to seek the false comfort of variety. Resist. Sit with the discomfort of staying with one thing. This is the training of your mind. Understand that the first enemy you will meet is not the world, it is your own craving for distraction. You have used distraction as an escape from the anxiety that comes with real effort. When you focus on one demanding task, your weaknesses are exposed. You feel your ignorance, your lack of skill, your fear of failure. It is easier to run to another task, one where you feel momentarily competent. In this way, you have protected yourself from the sting of growth. Now you must accept that the sting is necessary. The discomfort you feel when you stay with one demanding task is the pain of unused muscles being forced into action. you will also meet the enemy of divided loyalty inside your own heart. Part of you will still cling to the old way of being involved in everything. It will whisper, if you narrow your focus, you will become less interesting, less valuable, less admired. That is a lie. A man is not admired because he dabbles in many things. He is admired because he stands for something definite and follows it through. Even those who have grown used to using you for your scattered efforts will secretly respect you more when they see you protecting your time for a worthy purpose. You must expect resistance from outside as well. When you begin to say no where you once said yes automatically, people will be unsettled. They will remind you of who you have been. They will say, you used to help with everything. You used to join every scheme. You used to always be available. They are not lying. You did. But understand what they are truly saying. We are uncomfortable with your new boundaries because we benefited from your lack of them. Do not be cruel, but do not retreat. Calmly state your new limits and hold them. Over time, they will adjust or drift away. Either outcome is acceptable. As you narrow your commitments, you will notice something significant. The weight of each remaining commitment increases. This is not a burden to fear. It is a sign of seriousness. When you use the word commitment from this point on, it must carry weight. It must mean, I have decided in advance that I will pay the price to see this through. Do not call it a commitment if you are still negotiating with yourself about whether you will endure when difficulty arrives. A real commitment is not subject to renegotiation every time you feel tired or bored. It may require adjustment in method, but not in direction. From this, a new standard must emerge. You are no longer allowed to use the language of total devotion for something you are only testing. You may experiment. You may explore. There is nothing wrong with saying, I am trying this to see if it suits me. But be honest in your own mind and in your speech. Do not baptize every curiosity as a life mission. Save the language of this is my purpose for what you are ready to serve with years, not weeks. When you label everything as essential, nothing is. Your subconscious mind listens closely to the words you use. If you declare 10 different things as your top priority, it learns that your priorities are meaningless. It will not mobilize your full power for any of them. But if it hears you speak clearly and consistently about one central aim and sees you act in alignment with that aim daily, it will rally your resources behind it. Ideas will begin to appear, connections, opportunities, solutions that remained hidden while your mind was divided. It will seem as though the world has changed. In reality, you have stopped sending mixed signals to yourself. You must also cultivate the dignity of finishing. Up to now, you have been content to abandon things once the early excitement fades. You have drawers, shelves, and corners of your life filled with half-completed efforts. Each one whispers a message to you. You do not finish. You may not hear it consciously, but your subconscious hears it clearly. It uses those corpses as evidence when you try to begin something new. Why should I believe you this time? We know how this ends. This is why you feel a weight of doubt whenever you attempt another project. You are carrying the memory of your own unreliability. To break this pattern, you must make finishing a moral issue, not a matter of convenience. Choose certain unfinished tasks, perhaps small, but concrete, and complete them, not because you are still excited about them, but because you refuse to feed the habit of abandonment. In doing so, you send a new signal inward. When I start what I have deliberately chosen, I end it. The size of the task does not matter as much as the integrity of the action. A man who can finish a small promise to himself is proving that he can be trusted with larger ones. At the same time, you must give yourself permission to consciously release what no longer deserves your attention. There is a difference between a thing you should finish and a thing you should bury. Some of your old projects were never worthy of your full commitment. You began them to impress someone, to escape from a harder task, or to satisfy a momentary whim. Keeping them alive now only drains energy from your true purpose. Do not pretend that dragging them behind you is virtuous. Have the courage to say, "This no longer serves who I am becoming," and lay it to rest. The key is to be deliberate. Let go by decision, not by neglect. As you practice this, you will feel your inner posture change. A man who keeps his word to himself walks differently. There is less noise in his mind. He does not have to shout his intentions at the world because he hears them clearly within. He does not have to persuade himself every morning to continue because he has already decided. This is the quiet power of true commitment. It frees you from 1,000 small debates and leaves you with one great duty: to show up day after day and do the work you have chosen. You must learn to find satisfaction not in how many things you can begin, but in how deeply you can pursue one thing. The shallow man boasts about variety. The deep man takes pride in depth. He is not ashamed to say, "I have been at this for years." On the contrary, he knows that familiarity breeds mastery. The first year, he is clumsy. The second, he is competent. The fifth, he is reliable. The 10th, he carries an authority that cannot be faked. That authority is available to you, but it has a price. You must stay the course when everything in you screams to escape to something easier and new. Do not confuse occasional rest with abandonment. True commitment does not mean you never pause. It means your pauses serve your purpose. Rest to return stronger, not to avoid returning. There will be seasons when circumstances demand that you slow your pace. Illness, family duty, unforeseen events. In those times, guard your inner commitment even if outer progress is slight. Tell yourself, "I may be moving slowly, but I am still facing in the same direction." When the season passes, you will resume with your purpose intact. It is the direction of your loyalty that matters most, not the speed of your steps. Finally, understand that choosing one great commitment does not make your life smaller. It makes it coherent. It brings all your scattered parts into alignment. Your work, your learning, your relationships, your habits. Each can be arranged in support of your central aim. Then nothing is wasted. Even your leisure becomes restorative instead of aimless. Even your conversations become fertile instead of empty. You stop feeling as though your days are slipping through your fingers, because each day clearly belongs to something you have consciously chosen. You stand now at a turning point. You can continue to be the man who commits to everything and therefore to nothing, who speaks often, starts eagerly, scatters widely, and ends with little to show but fatigue. Or you can become the man who dares to narrow his focus, to prune his obligations, to choose one great purpose and bend his life around it. The first path allows you to avoid the pain of saying no today, but it will deliver you to a heavier pain tomorrow. The second path demands courage now, but it offers the only true relief: the knowledge that your energy is no longer wasted, that your life is no longer divided, that your heart is finally all in one place. When you narrow your life to one great direction, the next demand is simple and severe. Every part of you must be brought into line with that decision. A vague preference will not do. You have spent years treating your aims like visitors, welcoming them warmly for a season, then letting them drift out of your life. A true commitment must become a resident. It must have a fixed address in your mind and in your day. Begin with definiteness. If someone asked you, "What are you truly building?" could you answer in one clear sentence? Not 10 sentences, not a speech. One. If you cannot, you are still hiding in the smoke of general ambition. Success does not obey clouded desires. It responds to a sharp command. Write your central aim plainly. I commit myself to becoming. I commit myself to building. I commit myself to serving. Use words that bind, not words that offer escape. Know that once you write them, you have set a standard you can measure yourself against. That is why you have avoided this step. It strips away your excuses. A definite purpose, however, is only the beginning. You must convert it into a pattern of life. Ask yourself, if a man were truly devoted to this aim, how would his days be arranged? What would he study? What work would he do first? What would he refuse? Then begin arranging your own days accordingly. Not perfectly at once, but deliberately. Your schedule is a confession. It tells the truth about what you serve, no matter what you claim. If your best hours are endlessly given to lesser tasks, your supposed great aim is still only a decoration. From now on, your main commitment must appear on your calendar every day in some form. It does not matter whether the block is long or short. It matters that it is sacred. No unexamined request, no sudden favor, no passing distraction should be allowed to occupy that time. You would not give away your last coin to every stranger who asked. Why give away your finest hours so freely? Guard them as you would guard a treasure chest. Those hours are where your future is forged. Expect resistance from within. You are not only fighting outer demands, you are fighting an inner habit of scattering yourself. When you sit down to work on one thing, restless thoughts will rise. You will think of other projects, other people, other duties. You will feel an urge to stand up, to tidy something, to check on some minor task, to just do this one little thing first. Recognize this for what it is, the old pattern trying to survive. It cannot defeat you by argument, so it attacks you with impulses. Your job is to ignore them. Stay in your seat. Keep your hands on the work you have chosen. Each time you remain instead of fleeing, you weaken the old habit. You must also discipline your tongue. You have been generous with promises because promises cost nothing at the moment they are spoken. They cost later. They cost in hours you no longer own, in strength you do not have, in attention that should belong elsewhere. You have used words carelessly, and you have paid for it with scattered living. From this point on, let your speech be slower and straighter. If you say, "I will," make sure you mean, "I will" at the expense of other things. If you cannot give something that place, say no. Do not soften it with vague phrases. A clean refusal is kinder than a warm lie. Your subconscious mind has been confused by your talk. One week you declare that this venture is your great calling. The next week you proclaim another. The third week you are consumed by a fresh scheme. You issue contradictory orders and wonder why nothing in you moves with full power. You must now train your inner mind by consistency. Choose your central aim and speak of it the same way again and again. When doubts arise, do not rush to replace it with a new dream. Bring your words back to the first one. In time, your subconscious will accept this is the direction and begin to work silently in its favor. Your imagination must be brought under discipline as well. You have used it as a playground for passing fancies. Tonight you picture yourself in one life, tomorrow in another, never staying long enough in any picture to build a bridge to it. Instead, choose one vision that fits your definite purpose and return to it often. See yourself at work in that life, performing the daily tasks, making steady progress, enduring the slow seasons, enjoying the fruits. Make the picture ordinary, not grand. The more ordinary it becomes in your mind, the more natural it will feel to move toward it. This inner work is not enough. Your hands must prove what your heart declares. Each day, do some piece of work that can be seen, measured, finished. Make a record of it. Today I did this toward my purpose. The record need not be public. In fact, it is better if it is private. You are not performing for the crowd. You are building self-respect. A man who can look back over a week and see 7 days of concrete steps in one direction walks differently. He no longer has to convince himself that he is committed. He has evidence. As you live this way, you will feel the weight of your commitment increase. That is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are finally taking your own words seriously. A promise that carries no weight in your conscience was never a true promise. You should feel it when you break faith with your purpose. It should trouble your sleep. It should disturb your peace. Let that discomfort do its work. It is the voice of your higher nature refusing to be ignored. You must also learn the art of deliberate release. Not every past obligation deserves to be carried into your new life. Some of your old projects were born from pride, fear, or imitation. You began them because you wanted to look busy, to match another man's pace, or to escape a more demanding duty. Keeping them alive now is not noble. It is foolish. Go through them ruthlessly. For each ask, does this still serve my definite purpose? Does it build the man I am choosing to become? If the answer is no, lay it down openly. Tell those affected, if it involves others, that you will not continue. Accept whatever disapproval comes. Better a short season of criticism than a lifetime of quiet self-betrayal. You fear letting things go because you think your value lies in how much you carry. It does not. Your value lies in how faithfully you carry what truly matters. A mule staggering under 10 loads is not more admirable than a horse running swiftly with one. You have been the mule. You may even have been praised for it. The time has come to stop collecting burdens for applause. Take up only what aligns with your purpose and carry it with strength. Order in your surroundings will support order in your commitments. Look at the places where you spend your days. Are they cluttered with unfinished tasks, unread papers, unused tools, remnants of abandoned efforts? Every time your eye passes over these, they whisper, "You do not finish." Do not underestimate the effect. Clear them out. Put away what is useful for your present work. Give away or discard what belongs to past identities. Arrange your space as if it were a workshop dedicated to one central craft. When you sit there, you want everything around you to say, "This is what we do here." The same principle applies to your habits of body. You cannot serve a great aim with a neglected instrument. Fatigue, illness, and dullness of mind are not always accidents. Often they are the bill for years of careless living. Regular rest, sensible food, some form of physical exertion, these are not luxuries. They are duties to your purpose. A man who claims to be committed to his work but willingly dulls his own edge is not serious. He is still playing at commitment. Your relationships must be examined next. There are people in your life who feed your focus, and there are people who drain it. Some sharpen your thinking, others blur it. Some respect your boundaries, others trample them. You may not be able to remove everyone who weakens you, but you can certainly change the degree of access they have to your mind. Limit the time you spend in company that leaves you scattered, bitter, or restless. Seek out those rare individuals who have chosen a path and walk it steadily. Even if their aims differ from yours, their example will strengthen your own resolve. Monotony will test you. The early days of a commitment are full of newness. Every step feels dramatic, but soon the path levels. You repeat the same actions day after day. Progress is present, but not always visible. This is where most men quit. Not because the work is impossible, but because it is not entertaining. You must decide now that you will not treat boredom as a signal to abandon your post. Teach yourself to take satisfaction in the simple act of showing up. Say to yourself, while others chase the thrill of starting, I will pursue the honor of finishing. Expect also the temptation of new invitations. The more steady you become, the more people will notice your reliability. They will ask you to join their ventures and lend your effort to their causes. Some may be worthy. Most will not align with your definite purpose. If you accept them all, you will return to the scattered life that once drained you. Before you agree to anything, ask, will this strengthen my main work, or will it steal from it? If it steals, decline. You are not selfish for doing so. You are honoring the prior commitment that defines your life. All of this may sound strict, but understand, you are not being asked to submit to a prison. You are being invited to build an inner kingdom. At present, your mind is like a land without a ruler. Every impulse, every request, every new idea marches through the gates and sets up camp wherever it pleases. No wonder there is confusion. When you establish one great commitment at the center, you are placing a throne in that land. From that throne, you can now judge what enters and what is turned away. That is not confinement. That is sovereignty. In time, you will see the fruits. Where there was once a collection of unfinished efforts, there will stand completed work. Where there was once a reputation for saying yes lightly and failing quietly, there will be a reputation for saying yes rarely and delivering fully. Where there was once an inner voice murmuring, you do not finish, there will be a new voice stating, when you choose, you endure. That voice is not flattery. It is the truth you have earned. The law is simple. If you commit to everything, you are truly committed to nothing. The reverse is also simple. When you commit yourself wholly to one worthy direction, everything in your life can be arranged either to support it or to be removed. You are no longer tossed about by every wave. You become, little by little, like a fixed point in a moving world. Circumstances still change. Seasons still turn. But inside, there is a settled aim that does not. It is toward that kind of inner stillness with outer progress that all this discipline is leading you. There is a harsh but liberating truth you must finally accept. Life will not rearrange itself around a man who cannot decide what he is for. The world does not slow down for you while you scatter yourself in every direction. It simply moves past you and reserves its best rewards for those who have the courage to say, this is my work. This is my lane. This is what I will give my strength to, even when it costs me other paths. You have spent years pretending that you can avoid that cost, that you can somehow taste every dish and still be nourished like the man who sits down and finishes one full meal. You cannot. The law does not bend. If you commit to everything, you are truly committed to nothing. Success is a jealous master. It will not share you with every passing desire. It does not yield itself to the man who keeps one foot in, one foot out, always preparing to run to the next hill the moment this one feels steep. It demands that you choose, not with your lips, not with a speech, but with the way you spend your days when no one is watching. You cannot serve two masters inside yourself. You cannot be half devoted to 10 aims and expect the strength, clarity, and authority of the man who has married himself to one. Inside your own mind, there is always a verdict being rendered. This man is divided, or this man is whole. You feel that verdict in your confidence. There comes a line in every serious life where you must burn your escape routes. As long as you keep them open, you will retreat to them when the first storms arrive. You will say, I am committed. But what you mean is, I am committed until it is painful, and then I reserve the right to disappear. That is not commitment. That is curiosity. True commitment sounds different in the mind. It says, I know difficulty is coming. I know I will be tested. I know boredom, doubt, and fatigue will visit me. I have already answered them. I will remain. Once that answer is given, much of your inner conflict ends. You stop asking yourself if you will continue every time the wind changes. You already decided. You may ask, how do I choose what deserves that level of devotion? You begin by disregarding what merely flatters your ego or promises quick applause. Those things blaze and wither. Look instead for the intersection of your ability, your conscience, and your deep desire. What can you do well or learn to do well? What form of work allows you to serve without betraying your principles? What aim, when you picture yourself pursuing it for years, still awakens a steady fire instead of a quick spark? That is where you look. Not for what feels exciting for a week, but for what you would be proud to have given a decade of your life to. You hesitate because you fear choosing wrongly. You are haunted by the thought, what if I pour myself into one direction and later discover it was not perfect? Let me settle that fear. There is no perfect path. There is only walking or not walking. The man who chooses and moves will always discover more about himself and the world than the man who stands at the crossroads analyzing every path until night falls. If your choice is honest, aligned with your highest understanding at the time, the very act of committing to it will sharpen your mind. You will see more clearly as you go. And if you must adjust, you will adjust from a place of strength and experience instead of speculation. Understand that the greatest danger is not in choosing imperfectly. It is in not choosing at all. A man who commits sincerely to one noble aim and later refines it has still lived a life of direction. A man who refuses to commit, waiting for certainty that never comes, lives a life of drift. He becomes expert at beginning, poor at enduring, and finally a stranger to his own potential. The law you are dealing with is this: commitment reveals the path. It does not appear first and then invite you to stroll. You step into the fog with a resolute heart, and with each step the road ahead grows clearer. Once you make your choice, the compounding begins. A day of concentrated effort seems small. A week seems minor. But a year of days, only partially dedicated to your main purpose, will move you further than 10 years of scattered enthusiasm. Well-chosen repetition is not weakness. It is power gathering in one place. The man who writes one page toward his purpose every day will produce more in time than the man who declares, I am capable of greatness, and then spends his days divided between 20 activities that lead nowhere in particular. Life multiplies what you repeat. The question is whether you will repeat what matters or what merely occupies you. You must commit not only at the level of tasks, but at the level of identity. It is not enough to say, I will sometimes act as a focused man. You must say, I am a man who honors his word. I am a man who protects his attention. I am a man who gives his best effort to a chosen purpose and refuses to be pulled apart by every passing demand. Identity precedes action. When you see yourself differently, your tolerance for your old scattered behavior diminishes. You feel out of place in the company of your former habits. That discomfort is useful. It pushes you to rise to the level of the man you have decided to be. Honor must return to your idea of success. The world often praises visible achievement and ignores the quiet quality that makes achievement possible: reliability. A man whose word is light, whose commitments are many but shallow, cannot build lasting success. People learn not to trust his promises, and eventually he does not trust himself. By contrast, the man who makes fewer promises and keeps them all builds invisible credit. His name, once spoken casually, begins to carry weight. Doors open not because he chased them, but because his character knocked long before his fist did. This honor is not given. It is earned in countless unseen moments when he resists the urge to retreat from his commitments. Storms will come. You will face setbacks, delays, disappointments, and seasons where progress seems to vanish. In those moments, you will be tempted to interpret every difficulty as a sign that you chose wrongly. Your mind will whisper, "If this was truly your path, would it be this hard?" Do not listen. Hardship is not always a warning. Often it is the very forge where your commitment is tested and strengthened. Never change a major life direction in the middle of a storm. Wait until you are calm, until you have gathered facts, until you are no longer reacting from fear. Then, if the evidence and your conscience agree that an adjustment is needed, make it from a place of steady judgment, not panic. As your life aligns around one true commitment, you will notice the world's response shift. At first, others may resist the new boundaries you set. They will call you stubborn, less easygoing, less available. Let them. Over time, a different tone will appear. He is serious. He follows through. When he takes something on, it gets done. This reputation is a valuable form of capital. It attracts better opportunities while silently turning away the trivial ones. People will bring you fewer foolish schemes because they know you will not entertain them. What comes to your door will more and more resemble the path you have already chosen. There is a paradox at work. When you stop chasing every possibility, the right possibilities begin to seek you. When your energy is scattered, your signal to the world is weak and confused. No one knows what to bring you because you seem interested in everything and committed to nothing. But when you stand firmly for one clear direction, those who move in related directions can recognize you. They know where you fit. They know how to help you and how you can help them. This is not mysticism. It is the natural result of clarity in a noisy world. Ask yourself which future you truly want. Imagine an old man sitting alone, looking back on his life. In one version, he sees a landscape of half-built efforts, unfinished ventures, abandoned ideas, relationships neglected because his attention was always elsewhere. He remembers being constantly in motion, constantly busy, constantly promising. But the feeling that remains is thin. He was everywhere and nowhere. In the other version, he sees fewer things, but each of them is deep. He remembers seasons of intense focus, long stretches of faithful work, a handful of goals that he carried to completion. He was not famous for dabbling. He was known for finishing. Which man do you intend to be? Bring the issue into today with a simple rule. Each morning, select the one action that most directly advances your central purpose. Do it first, or protect a fixed time for it. Before you agree to anything else, ask, does this support that action or interfere with it? If it interferes without necessity, decline. If it is truly necessary, some duties cannot be avoided. Fulfill it efficiently and then return to your main work. Do not allow the urgent to constantly devour the important. A life surrendered to every cry of urgency never gets around to what matters most. You must also adopt a new way of weighing decisions. From now on, you do not ask only, "Is this good?" Many things are good. You ask, "Is this mine?" Does this belong to the life I have chosen? Does this help me bring my definite purpose into reality? Good opportunities can ruin a man as surely as bad habits if they entice him away from his central aim. The man who has not decided his direction can be seduced by any path that looks pleasant. The man who knows his direction can appreciate other paths without leaving his own. That is maturity. Understand that commitment does not mean rigidity of method. You may have to change tools, strategies, or timelines as you learn. That is not betrayal. It is growth. What must not change lightly is the core direction. If you decide to build a particular kind of work or develop a specific set of virtues, you may find better ways to do so over time. Allow that flexibility. The river that reaches the sea does not flow in a straight line, but it never forgets its destination. Its bends are not proof that it is lost. They are proof that it is adapting to the terrain. You will have days when your commitment feels distant and your energy is low. On those days, do not demand emotional fireworks from yourself. Instead, fall back on duty. See, this is what a man devoted to this aim does on a poor day. Then do something small but clean. A page written, a letter sent, an hour of practice, a promise kept. You are not trying to feel powerful. You are training yourself to be reliable. Feelings will rise again in their time. Character is built in the meantime. As you live this way, something quiet and profound will happen inside you. The constant hum of self-doubt will begin to fade. You will still question yourself, but not in the same frantic way. You will know that whatever your imperfections, you are at least living in one direction instead of in pieces. That knowledge steadies a man. It gives him the right to look himself in the eye without flinching. Self-respect is not built by flattering yourself. It is built by witnessing your own persistence. You will also notice that your inner life grows calmer even as your work grows heavier. This seems strange at first. You may be working harder than ever before, but because that work is coherent, it does not tear your mind apart. The 1,000 small decisions that once tormented you are replaced with a few guiding principles. You no longer have to ask with every new possibility, "Should I chase this?" Most of them, you will see at a glance, do not belong to you. You are free to let them pass without guilt. That freedom is one of the sweetest rewards of true commitment. Do not fool yourself into thinking you have accepted this law simply because you agree with it in theory. Agreement without action is just another way of committing to everything and nothing. You nod at every wise idea, collect every principle, admire every example, and then live exactly as before. The test is simple. What will you refuse after hearing this? What will you cut away? What promise will you make more slowly from now on? What one aim will you honor with your best hours today? Let your life from this day forward be a visible contradiction to the scattered man you once were. Let those who knew you before look and say, "He has become narrower and deeper. He does fewer things, but he does them with a weight he never had." Let your word grow heavier with each year, so that when you speak, people know you have considered the cost. Let your calendar become simpler and your work more substantial. Let your mind, once noisy with 100 half-chosen paths, become clear with one decided road. You have been warned by your own experience. You have seen what happens when you commit to everything. You become tired, thin, frustrated, and quietly ashamed. You are always preparing, never arriving. You talk more about what you will do than about what you have done. That life is still available to you if you wish to keep it. No one can stop you. But understand that it ends in regret. Years from now, you will look back and say, I had the strength, but I would not focus it. I had the time, but I scattered it. I had the chance to be whole, but I chose to remain divided. Or you can stand here at this moment and decide that enough is enough. Decide that you will no longer treat your time, attention, and promises as cheap. Decide that you will choose one direction worthy of your life and bend everything you can under your control to support it. Decide that you will disappoint those who want you scattered rather than betray the purpose that wants you whole. Decide that when you say, I am committed, it will no longer be a polite phrase, but a binding declaration. This is not a call to a smaller life. It is a call to a deeper one. A life where your outer actions and inner convictions finally match. A life where the man you know you can be is not constantly at war with the man you choose to be each day. A life in which success, however you define it, is no longer a distant idea you read about, but the natural consequence of a mind and heart that have stopped wandering. Remember the laws. If you commit to everything, you are truly committed to nothing. The opposite is equally true. When you commit yourself fully to what truly matters, everything else in your life falls into its proper place, either in support of that purpose or out of your way. Choose now. The rest of your life will be shaped by whether you keep scattering yourself across 100 small yeses or gather yourself into one great yes that deserves the man you are meant to become.